Alright, welcome back to another video. So today's video, we're continuing work on our 2023 Ford Transit van conversion, and we're doing the glass. So we're starting with the side window, and we're just putting in a like OEM style window on the side right here. We bought the glass from Van Tech, and you can see pretty much ready to make my cut. So I want to show you how I determined where to do this. Alright, so on the inside, basically, we want to follow the factory, the line on this first layer of metal. The only place it gets tricky is when you get into these corners because there's no line. But you can see, I just took a drill. There's different ways people do this. Some people use a punch. It's easier to just drill the holes. And then up here, this is probably the trickiest corner. So what you want to do is you want to measure the gap between this little lip and here and just carry that. It's about 1/2 inch. Just carry that gap right through here. And this, see, this one here was a mess up. We want to actually on the outside of that. And then once I have all my holes drilled, just literally set the drill against here like this. Like that. And back outside, you're just connecting the dots with a Sharpie. And we want the outside of the hole. L means lock. There's that little lock lever right there. I'll just probably use the buzz saw for this area right here real quick. That way I don't saw that lock lever in half with the jigsaw. Now I'm going to put masking tape all along here to protect the paint from the saw. Alright, so we've got tape on there for protection. We're going to put tape on the saw. For where the lock is, I'm going to just use a cutoff wheel on a grinder. That way I can control the depth of the cut. I might actually use this on more than just that area, just because it's a little, I feel like I actually have more control than with a jigsaw going crazy. But the corners, definitely have to use the jigsaw, so I'll have to enlarge one of these holes to get started. Now as you go, it helps to, once you've cut a section, put some tape across that and hold it rigid, because by the time you get to the end of the cut, this thing's going to be vibrating like crazy and it can screw up the metal. And if this drops and scratches the van or something, that's something to think about. So you'll see in the video the progress and how we tape it as we go. Alright, so I went through, I cleaned it up with a flap disc. It's important to get all the metal shavings with a vacuum sucked out of the channel there. There's a little bit of foam down in there that kind of stops it from going down. Then I took some paint on a brush, trying to paint this edge to help prevent it from rusting. Now we're going to put the edge trim on. It came with the window kit that I bought. It's like this little rubber trim. And you capture both these edges together. And then we'll be ready to glue the window in. Alright, so now that we've got that painted, we started to put this trim on. You can see how it works. You just cover both sides of the joint. And you can tap it down with your hand, or sometimes it helps to have just a little mallet. Just kind of, if there's a spot it doesn't want to seat, then we'll work all the way around the window. All right, so now when I get everything cleaned up, apply the primer and then the bead of urethane and get the window set in place. So you saw that. So it's definitely important to have two people for this job. We only had one little step stool. Would have been nice if we had two, because it's so high you really have to get the top line set, and then once you get the glass pushed on, you can't really move it. I mean, if it needs to just go a hair up or down, you can do that, but once it's set in that bead of urethane, you cannot disturb that, otherwise it could cause little air bubbles, which would cause a water leak eventually. So here's what it looks like on the outside. All right, so here's the inside. So it is a pretty good, it would be like a factory tint level. Probably going to get tinted a little bit darker just for privacy, but I'd say with the lights on inside, you would definitely be able to see in, but it is a pretty nice level. But all right, so now we'll be doing the back windows. I'll kind of lay in a picture of what a factory van looks like. It's pretty weird. The factory ones do not even, I mean, it's the same thing over here. You can see it's wider, and then it jogs in right here. So the factory windows don't even have like a finished edge like what we're doing here. And it's a completely different panel on the outside. And it's a completely different sheet metal on the inside, honestly. All right, so again, getting some pilot marks made on the inside here, and I'll drill the holes, and then I'm going to go outside and kind of transcribe this, but I want to show you kind of what it looks like, because it's a lot crazier on the back windows. So like I said, this is the edge we want to follow, this outer edge. That's about 1.25 inches from here to here. So then we want to go 1.25 inches in and make our marks. Then it basically follows this top line here, and then over here it's going to kind of come in again. Same thing down here, 1.25 inches up. So we're cutting off 2 layers of metal on most of the back window. So with the exception of this little spot here and that little spot there, we're cutting away at the same time that metal and this metal. Alright, so we're looking at both windows here for the back, and don't freak out when you realize this, but you'll see that the driver's side window and the passenger side window are different sizes. So this one right here is the driver's side, and it's about 22 inches, the viewing area in the glass. If we go over here to the passenger side, the viewing area is closer to 19.5 inches. Now the overall diameter of the glass is the same, so it looks right when it's on the back of the van, but you'll notice when you start tracing your holes that this is almost 2 inches wider than this side. Even though they look symmetrical, the opening for this is almost 26 inches wide, and this side is only about 23.5 inches. So be aware that they are 2 different size windows, and the openings that you cut are going to be 2 different sizes. Alright, so now it's time to start cutting. I'm going to make one larger drill hole, And I'm going to cut in to the window. Again, this door, I put an L right here. It's a lock rod. You don't want to slice right through that. So I'll just take, the first thing I'll do is I will take my cutoff wheel and buzz that spot right there. That way I can control the depth. And the rest I'll do with the jigsaw. Alright, so next step, now that we got the windows cut out, I'm going to take some of this Beta Prime and I'm going to use that instead of paint. Just go along this edge here, just to rust proof this. I filed it down with a file, a little bit of sandpaper, just to deburr it. You don't want to make sure there's no metal shavings, and then vacuum this out and blow all the metal shavings out of the van. Otherwise, they will rust. And so once we get this on there, we'll let that dry. Then I'll go ahead and start putting it around the outer edge out here. I gotta clean everything really good first with some glass cleaner. All right, so the next step is to install this U-channel trim. So I just primed that edge with one of those Beta Prime. It's good to order an extra one just to do that. It's a lot easier than trying to paint it white or something like that. This stuff comes in the kit that I bought from Vantech Windows. Let's start it down here. And you want it to go over both sides of the metal. So it should just go right on. If there's any tight spots, just take a little mallet, help it into like the corners and stuff. Key is like out here on the outside, especially, this has to be flat. You don't want it bulging out. Anything that'll make the window not seal correctly. Alright, so at the very end here, kind of have to plan this last cut carefully, because if you cut it too short, I would suggest cutting it in the same spot on both windows, because you're going to see the line just a little bit. That way it looks uniform. Alright, so the next step is to take more of this primer, and this time we're going to go all along edge here. Alright, so we're going to clean the back of the glass with window cleaner, and then also in the kit came a little surface preparation scrubber that we'll use. You can also use that primer on the glass, but the Sikaflex primerless, you don't really need it on the glass. The key is you have to know exactly where to put it, but we're going to go ahead and get that going here. Alright, so here's what I'm talking about. Take this little thing and bust a little capsule inside, and then this will get wet. Just gonna clean the edge where the urethane's gonna be. The urethane's gonna be pretty close to the glass. And I'm just going to do one window at a time. I've got 2 tubes of the urethane. So we want the tip. So there's this V notch. That's on the top. That way it leaves the V. Stuff's still pretty wet. I let this warm up in front of a heater. Not too hot. Just makes it flow out easier. I'm using this high compression caulk gun. It's still a manual gun though. Yep. Alright, so now we're going to get the glass, and you got pretty much one chance to get it right. So 2-person job. Helps to have suction cups. We don't. We're just going to basically, you got to be up high enough that you can see the top. That way you can get it set in place. Helps to put your hand under the bottom of the glass and then kind of guide it in. You okay? Okay, so watch top. Okay. Watch this side. Alright, now, once you get it set where it looks good, does it look good?
I think so.
Okay, we're just gonna press. And don't pull it back out, we're just gonna press it in. And then we're gonna tape it in place. If you need to move it just a hair, you can, but you only have a few seconds to do it. So go ahead and get the blue tape. Let me look at this one. Make sure your lines are good. Key is down the middle. Should be good to me. Come on. Does it look okay?
Yes.
This will just keep the window from sagging. It will try to sag a little bit until that urethane sets up. This is our special window holding tape, aka blue painter's tape. Nothing special about it. Okay. It's good to have acetone ready if you do get a little bit of the urethane on the van. Acetone will take it right off. Alright, so there it is. The back and the sides are now done. We'll take a look inside real quick. But again, just take your time, except at the end there. A few minutes of scary stuff when you're getting that window on. You do want to try to get a nice uniform bead, and it needs to come out the same amount, you know, from the van. That way, when you set the window in place, there's no gaps or air bubbles, which will turn into water leaks. So you want to let this dry. I'd say 24 hours before you drive it, especially depending on the weather. If it's cooler, it needs longer to dry. So you can take the tape off. We did the side window yesterday. It's done. The only thing left to do is to do a water test. Just spray it with a hose. Make sure you don't get any water coming in. Like I said, I'd wait at least 24 hours. Here's the end result on the inside. So you can see the little bit of black before it gets to the window. So again, these windows were from Vantech. You know, they didn't sponsor this video in any way. They seemed to have the best price, and it was kind of easy just to order everything and get the package sent to me with all the supplies that I need, including all the trim. So if you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them below. Like the video if it helped you out. Subscribe for more. We're doing a whole build on the Transit, and we'd love to have you follow along. Till next time, we'll see you later.